You're listening to Silk, songs inspired by Leni and Kiko, brought to you by ABL, Angat, Buhay, Lahat.
Ilan di pang taong nagkakasayahan sa kalsadang aking napagdaanan. Nag-aabang ng masasaksihan, puro rosas ang kinalalagyan. Sa aking pwestong kinatatayuan, mayroong natanaw na ale. Sa pinami-raming bituin na tanaw, siya ang naanina. Nag-iba ang liwanag, lalong lumigaya. Leni, Kiko, nandito kami para sa inyo. Leni, Kiko, nandito kami. Heto na ang boto ko. Leni at Kiko, Leni at Kiko, Leni, Kiko, ang sigaw ng Pilipino.
Mga awiting ambag ng nagmamahal sa bayan. Silk, songs inspired by Leni and Kiko. Smooth as silk. Tara na, ipanalo na natin ito.
They celebrate the prize has been paid. Don't you feel a brand new day is here? Are you ready? Get set, here we go. Only love can cast away our fears. Only love can make our hearts grow. People, take my hand. La 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 la. Celebration, joy of love, revolution today. La 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 la. La 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 la. Love is sweet in the land. People, take my hand, take my hand. Celebration, liberation. La 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 la. It's for you and me, joy of love, revolution. La 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 la. It's a jubilee, joy the state of the nation. Love is sweet in the land. Come on, people, take my hand. La 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 la. Celebration, joy of love, revolution today. La 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 la. La 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 la.
Mga pusong umaawit para sa pagbabago. Silk. Songs inspired by Leni and Kiko.
Naglilingkod, nagbubuklod, hindi tumatalikod, lumalaban, di nang iiwan. Nagsisiling huwaran, pilit mang sila'y niyuyurakan, pilit mang sila'y kinakalaban. Buhay nila ay patuloy na laan. Karapat-dapat na sila ang piliin. Leni at Kiko lamang, tunay at tapat ang hangarin. Leni at Kiko lamang, sa gobyernong tapat, angat buhay lahat. Nakikinggan, ipinilang, mahirap o mayaman, simple lang, di nagyayabang. Bukilos ang puhunan, pilit mang sila'y niyuyurakan, pilit mang sila'y kinakalaban. Buhay nila ay patuloy na laan. Karapat-dapat na sila ang piliin.
na sila ang piliin. Leni at Kiko lamang, tunay at tapat ang hangarin. Leni at Kiko lamang, sa gobyernong tapat, angat buhay lahat. Sa gobyernong tapat, angat buhay lahat.
Araw-araw, umuusad tayo patungo sa pagbabago. Ipanalo na natin ito. Paalala mula sa Silk. Songs inspired by Leni and Kiko.
Hi, Philippines. I usually shy away from the topic of politics, but since becoming an adult, a taxpayer at that, and further deepening my sense of nationalism, I've really come to realize that politics shouldn't just be a topic of conversation reserved for just a few of us, but rather a necessity for everyone that we're not only aware of, but also understand and then partake in it as citizens of a democratic society. Now, I'm not speaking out as an authority on the subject of economics, leadership, or politics. Not at all. I am merely a Filipino wanting to make the best vote for the future of my country. But I also acknowledge that I'm a Filipino with a platform, and with that, I feel a sense of responsibility. You know, it's my hope that through sharing how I was able to equip myself, I can then in turn hopefully help equip you for the upcoming elections. I have come to a decision of who I believe deserves my vote, and towards the end of this video, I'll share that point of view. But sharing my stance isn't the aim of this video. The aim of this video is to share the qualities that I feel make a good leader. And it's actually these qualities that made up the very basis of how I arrived at my own decision, and hopefully are qualities that can also guide you when researching for yourself who your vote is for. Well, firstly, thank you. Thank you so much for registering to vote, for having the intention of taking part in the process of electing our leaders. Thank you for taking part in our history. So where do we start? The answer is research, but sadly, the reality for many of our kababayans or countrymen is lack of access to resources. Because when you think about it, the most accessible resources of information are the unmonitored platforms of social media, which can be great open community spaces, but are also known to be huge perpetuators of false narratives and unchecked news. Because when you think about it, who polices social media? So where does that leave us? Well, unfortunately, there is no quick or instant way to know all about our candidates. It takes intentional time and a lot of discernment. You know, from my personal research, I found it really helpful to read and cross-reference different sources and materials, you know, always trying to make a conscientious effort to check listed references and or bibliographies. And yes, I understand that access to these resources, these websites, these materials are in itself a privilege. And to bridge that gap, those of us with access to these resources need to continue finding ways to get the information into the hands of those who don't. Because everyone deserves the opportunity to make up their own opinions based on facts. So don't worry, you're not alone. I'm going to share 5 qualities that I have determined to be important to look for in a leader. You know, during election periods, electoral campaigns will always present the best version of the candidate to the public. But these 5 qualities speak a lot to the capabilities, character, and values of an individual. Qualities that I feel define someone as a human being, along with their professional capability. A president is a job, but it's the person that makes the title. So what is the character and capability of the person that we are choosing to lead us? Well, I feel that it's these 5 qualities that reveal exactly that. So the first one is qualified. What is this person's background? This could be their educational attainment and or employment history. And it also goes to say that, you know, having many degrees or holding many different positions within an organization or government body, etc., doesn't automatically make for the best leader, but it can be a great indicator of an individual's experience and knowledge that they can bring to the table, which could be a huge asset to a leader. If being a leader was a job application, would this person have the experience, the skill set, and knowledge needed for this role? Number 2 is history. How have they stewarded or utilized positions of leadership in the past? We can look at what achievements and developments they were able to achieve, if any, and what do their previous positions reveal about their experience, views, and skill sets. Another interesting thing to note is, how do their colleagues and peers speak of them? Do they respect them? Also, in their time in leadership, were they able to create a ripple of change or a lasting impact overall, if any? Just a small story as well. When I was working in South Africa last year, during filming, I discovered that the sound guy was actually one of the executive producers of the show. And this made me really curious, and I asked him, why are you doing sound when you're an executive producer? And he said something to me that I'll never forget. He said, I need to know and understand how to do the jobs of the people under my command if I'm to be in an executive position as their leader. And that really stuck with me. So it's also something great to keep in mind when thinking about a candidate's history. The third is service. A leader, especially one in government, is, I believe, at their essence, a public servant, meaning that this leader is not above us, they are equal to us, petitioning for us and working for our best interests. The good thing to look out for also in this category is, when have they been of service to the community when it wasn't convenient or for personal gain? You could also look at the programs that they are promising to pursue as president. How do they work towards that vision with the positions that they held in the past? You know, if an individual, I believe, really has the heart to serve, they will not depend on a title or a position. If that duty to serve is really in their hearts, they will utilize any position that they're in to serve. The fourth is platform. What are their plans and vision for our nation? And then going on from there, what actions have they already taken that exemplify this, or how have they already set these plans in motion? Have they been consistent in both their messaging and actions? Because, you know, we all know that the election period is a period of promises. And even though we will never have a guarantee that everything that is being promised to us will materialize, it's really insightful to look at how have they already planted the seeds of that vision within their own positions that they've held in the past or very recently. And finally, the last quality is values. How has this individual stood on issues in the past? This could either be in relation to governance, national issues, social issues, etc. And what does that reveal about their personal values, beliefs, and going on from there, how does that relate to your own? This is something that really guided me because when I look back through research on how some of our candidates have stood on certain issues, they didn't necessarily align with my own. And so I was able to then orientate myself towards someone whom I'm most aligned with. Also, an important aspect that falls under this category of values is what is their attitude towards being held accountable? How do they handle different issues when they're thrown at them? Are they evasive or do they show up? Are they willing to listen or do they ignore? So these 5 qualities: qualified, history, service, platform, and values. These are great places to start, but also great places or points of comparison when researching or learning more about each and every candidate who is running for president, vice president, other government positions, or even other positions of leadership. I just wanted to take the time as well to give a small message of encouragement. You know, if you're sitting there and you're overwhelmed or maybe even undecided on where your vote lies, that's completely fine. You still have time. Just take the intentional time to research, to learn, to listen, and then to think for yourself. Your vote is your own and no one else's, and I encourage you to align with the candidate that you feel is the best for the Philippines. There is power in the single vote. Never allow anyone to make you believe otherwise. Now I'm going to share my personal stance, but before that, I just want to say thank you for spending this time with me and being open. Hopefully you've learned something or taken away something from this to allow you to feel more equipped for this coming May 9th. To those of you like me who have access to various sources of information, let's not shy away from sharing it and talking about it, inviting others into an exchange of thoughts. We need to normalize talk around politics and create more safe spaces to do so. Some of you may be thinking, well, Kat, why speak up only now about the Philippine 2022 elections? Well, I guess I just had this hesitancy that I didn't just want to express a stance without an explanation or without an effort to educate you guys because, you know, at the end of the day, I've always wanted to empower my audience to be a thinking one. I want you guys to vote for who you think you should vote for, not because your favorite artista or public figure or beauty queen is voting for someone. But it's my hopes that by sharing whom I'm voting for, after, you know, doing my own research and, you know, looking at those 5 qualities, that whether you agree or disagree with my stance, it'll serve as an invitation to learn more for yourselves and to hopefully further develop any stances that you may already have. A long-serving public servant, effective legislator authoring 79 laws, and active advocate for the agricultural sector, education, and national welfare, my vote for Vice President is Kiko Pangilinan. And my choice for President is Leni Robredo. She's the only candidate with experience in all 3 branches of our government: judiciary as a volunteer lawyer, legislative as a congresswoman, and executive as a vice president. You know, the pandemic was such a huge indicator of the capabilities of those in leadership, and I believe that one of the most competent responses during the global pandemic was that under the stewardship of her office of the vice president. You know, one which has actually reflected the highest audit rating from the Commission on Audit 3 consecutive years in a row. So there's transparency there, and I really appreciate that. I also personally align for what she stands for: education, poverty reduction, women empowerment, amongst others, which, you know, when I researched, are not just promises for her presidential campaign, but actual existing programs like the Angat Buhay program, which has been extending assistance to over 600,000 marginalized Filipino families through providing basic needs, food security, universal health care, public education, as well as providing rural development, housing, along with youth and women empowerment for 6 years and counting. I appreciate how respectful she is to others and how she's willing to listen. And above all else, of all the candidates, she's the only one who gives me hope for change for the future that I wish to see for my country. That's where I stand. But you know what? If our views differ, I respect that. we should always open ourselves up to and try our best to normalize political conversations, because at the end of the day, I believe no matter who your vote stands with, each and every one of us, every Filipino wants the same thing: a better future, a cleaner government, better and equal opportunities, and a better quality and security of life for all. It's merely just my hope that you take the time to research and make an informed decision. The power lies with you. See you on May 9th, Pilipinas.
Iwagayway ang kulay rosas. Magandang bukas. Malapit na nating makamtan. Silk. Songs inspired by Leni and Kiko.
Liwanag sa dilim. Liwanag.
Pangarap ko para sa Pilipinas, isang leader na hindi kayo iwan.
Pakikinggan ka.
Yung may malasakit sa mahirap.
Yayakapin ka.
Kahit sino ka pa.
Ipaglalaban ka.
Tulad ko, nanay ako, handang gawin lahat para sa anak.
Ituring ang iyong sariling tagahawi ng ulap sa kalangitang kulimlim. Kampanang yayanig sa bawat nilalang magigising ng lupang kulang sa tinig. Ikaw ang magsasabing kaya mo to, tulad ng isang tanglaw sa gitna ng bagyo. Isigaw mo sa hangin, tumindig at magsilbing liwanag, liwanag sa dilim. Harapin mong magiting ang bagong awitin. Ikaw ang liwanag sa dilim. At sa paghamon mo sa agos ng ating kasaysayan, uukit ka ng bagong daan. Oh, oh, oh. Ikaw ang naawit ng kaya mo to, isang panalangin sa gitna ng gulo. Isigaw mo sa hangin, tumindig at magsilbing liwanag, liwanag sa dilim. Harapin mong magiting ang bagong awitin. Liwanag, liwanag sa dilim.
Naniniwala ako na mas marami pa ring bagay ang nagbubuklod sa atin kesa sa ating pagkakaiba.
Hustisya!
Trabaho, pagkain,
edukasyon at maayos na kalusugan.
bahay na masisilungan.
Dapat hindi ito mga pangarap lang, kaya tayo ay lumalaban.
Ang kinabukasan ko ay nakasalalay sa mga boto ninyo. Gusto ko lang naman ng mas maayos na bayan. Isigaw mo sa hangin, tumindig at magsilbi. Liwanag sa dilim. Harapin mong magiting